Hey guys, you're into music and what do? You go on the internet, you download a software called FL Studio 11, also known as Fruity Loops 11, and you're amazed, but then you realize that there are thousands of what the hell toolbars. What do they do? How do they work? Hey guys, I'm Dog D, and in this tutorial, I talk about Fruity Loops 11.
I think I'm perfect. It's just perfect. I'm perfect.
Okay, so now we're going to open Fruity Loops, and Fruity Loops looks like this. And at the top, we have a panel. This is what we call the main menu panel. And if you notice here, there are small little dots. And those little dots, if you try to left click them, you think that you can unpin them and then move the panels. Well, you can if you go to view and then you go to toolbars, and then at the bottom of toolbars you get something that's called lock. What you're going to do is you're going to uncheck this by left clicking on your mouse. Once you've pressed that, you're able to move all your panels around the way that you like to your own preference. However, I'm using this specific alignment that I have found to work for me. Once you have your own alignment that works for you, you go to view toolbars and you check back on, or you enable, the lock option, and that says what the toolbars has at the top. Now let's go through them in more detail. This over here is your play button, so you have a play head over here. If you press spacebar on your keyboard, it does that, and as you can see, the seconds run. But hey, wait a minute, sometimes the time doesn't run in seconds, so you need to press these two buttons here to switch to bar and a minute display. So make sure that you're on minute display instead of bar display, because notice how the time is running now. Okay, it's not counting in normal seconds. Then what you have to do then is, when you go to this icon over here and this one over here and this one over here, you get a whole bunch of icons that are shortcut icons. So if you press F5, you get the playlist. So that's this whole rectangle over here. If you press F6, you get the step sequencer. This is where you actually make music and you put the music blocks on, and that's what you use. After doing that, if that's successful, you press F7. What F7 does is it takes you to the piano roll, and the piano roll allows you to customize your sound to specific time intervals. We'll get into that a little bit more. And F8 shows you the browser mixer, which is this whole box over here. You can hide it or unhide it. And of course you have view mixer, which looks like this. So you could either click here or press F9 and it looks like this. If you press F10, you would get this, which is the system settings that you see over here. Okay, cool guys. So those are your panels at the top and some of the shortcuts. We'll get into these a little bit later on. Now we're going to move on to the step sequencer and how to actually make music. So this, what you see here, is a step sequencer. If you left click and you hold this bar, which is dark gray, and you move it around, notice that it's able to transform around your Windows screen. You can also expand and contract the entire pattern itself. You can even create a new pattern by pressing this plus icon, and then you can rename that new pattern. I'm going to call this pattern underscore and then 2. Then you just click enter, or you don't have to click enter. Instead, you can click something else. You can click this button over here and you can select a different color. Then you can click enter. And then you notice that there's pattern 2, and you notice that all the pattern 1s inside the playlist changed to pattern 2. If we selected it, okay, so because we renamed it, if we create pattern 1, okay, it looks like we just renamed it, we didn't create it. Okay, if you create pattern 1 and you left click on the playlist, you notice that the playlist, you have pattern 1. Okay. If you duplicate it and you copied it on, you'd get something that looks like this. If you wanted to delete them, because you can see this is just placed in an arbitrary manner, you could right click and hold, and by right clicking and hold, each pattern gets deleted. So it's right click, hold, drag, and then go over the playlist, and then that deletes all your patterns. To bring back a pattern, we do the same thing again. We go to the top, we go to the step sequence, which is right over here, which you can left click or you can press F6, and then it brings up this again. Then you can click F1. Then you can click on the playlist that will drop in the current step sequencer that you're on. To select another step sequencer, you select this drop down arrow, then you select the other pattern. Let's add in a sample and test and see how that works. We're going to use a random drum kit, and we're going to try and open a random drum kit to see how that works and to try to create a sound that has no practical actual usage. There won't be any usage for it. It's just for demonstration purposes, and this is not to create a good track. Notice that when we left click on these knobs and we hold the left click all the way to the end, you notice that the pills fill up in color and the pills go glowing up to the end. That means that there has been a sample added, a specific sound that has been added to each step sequence. And now if you press space bar, you can hear each and every sound. Now what you need to do now is notice that for each and every sound that's playing, it's too rushed. So we need to slow the momentum down a bit. You can do that by, again, we use this option earlier on, right clicking to delete a few of the values. So if I right click this and I skip this one, right click that one, skip this one, right click this one, this one, this one, until I get to the end, you get the sound sounding like this. Pretty cool, right? So now we've made our very first sound. If this is your first time using FL Studio 11, or you just simply caught up by it, we have created our first drum loop. I am just joking. This is nowhere close to a song, but I just wanted to show you all this is how you'd make a simple track. I'm right clicking it again. Now let's transfer it to what we call the piano roll, because I told you that I would get into it a little bit more to show you how to make a simplified track. What you do is you'd go to FLS kick 01, you'd right click, then you'd go to send to piano. Notice that the piano's opened up and everything on the step sequencer has transferred over to the piano roll. Now when you're on the piano roll and you press space bar, you're able to see a whole lot of cells. In this case we only have 4, so this isn't actually a lot of cells, but the cells behind these cells that you see here, the empty cells that go beyond this whole page, these are called empty cells, and we can fill them up. And if I fill these up in a random way, I can undo that as well by pressing Ctrl Z. But if I press Ctrl Z and press Ctrl Z again, it redoes your undone action. But if I press Ctrl, Alt, and Z, then it's going to undo each and every pattern that I've made, because that's a whole pattern that I've made, and I want to delete the whole pattern. And now notice that your current project's history opens, so it shows you how many steps you took into getting to a specific step. So that's pretty cool about Fruity Loops. A lot of people don't know that. And yeah, if we try to press spacebar and we resize it, all you have to do is go towards the end of a sample and right click, and then we just right click and we delete some of them and we change their time up. Notice now, notice we have a track running. And that is it, guys. I hope you learned something new. If you wanted to add more, of course, you could left click. And I'm hoping that you guys can subscribe, like my video, and comment and tell me what you think so I can make more videos like this, guys. I hope you learned something new and using Fruity Loops isn't a train smash anymore. Have a good one.
I think I'm perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. It's just perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I'm perfect.